There's a certain darkness that lurks beneath the surface of human behavior, a shadow that we often refuse to acknowledge, yet it shapes our actions, our choices, and ultimately our lives. We like to think of ourselves as rational beings, guided by logic and reason, but the truth is, we are driven by primal instincts, fears, and desires that we barely understand. It's easy to put on a mask of civility, to present ourselves as kind, compassionate, and altruistic, but peel back the layers, and you'll find a more complicated, often unsettling reality. Consider the concept of empathy. We pride ourselves on our ability to empathize with others, to feel their pain, to share in their joy. But what happens when that empathy is selective? When we only extend our compassion to those who look like us, think like us, or share our values? We become tribal, drawing lines in the sand, creating an us versus them mentality that justifies our indifference to the suffering of others. It's a dark secret, this selective empathy, and it's woven into the very fabric of our social interactions. We may not want to admit it, but we often care more about our own comfort than the plight of those who are different from us. Then, there's the phenomenon of conformity. We are social creatures, hardwired to seek acceptance and approval from our peers. This desire can lead us to suppress our true feelings, to go along with the crowd, even when it contradicts our values. Think about the times you've laughed at a joke you found offensive, or nodded in agreement with a statement you secretly disagreed with. It's a survival instinct, a way to fit in, but it comes at a cost. We lose our authenticity, our ability to stand up for what we believe in. And in doing so, we contribute to a culture of silence. The dark secret here is that our desire for belonging can lead us to betray our own principles, to become complicit in the very injustices we claim to oppose. And let's not forget about the allure of power. There's a seductive quality to authority that can corrupt even the most well-intentioned individuals. The Stanford prison experiment revealed how quickly ordinary people can slip into abusive roles when given power over others. It's a chilling reminder that beneath our civilized exteriors lies a potential for cruelty. We may not want to believe it, but the capacity for darkness exists within each of us. The desire for control can lead to manipulation, exploitation, and even violence. It's a dark secret that we often overlook. Preferring to think of ourselves as benevolent leaders or caring mentors, rather than recognizing the potential for tyranny that resides in our hearts. Jealousy is another insidious aspect of human behavior, lurking just beneath the surface, ready to rear its ugly head at the slightest provocation. We often think of jealousy as a petty emotion, something to be dismissed or ridiculed, but it can drive people to do unspeakable things. The desire to possess what others have, whether it's their success, their relationships, or their happiness, can lead to a toxic mindset that breeds resentment and bitterness. It's a dark secret that can poison our relationships, turning friends into rivals and lovers into enemies. We may smile on the outside, but inside we're seething with envy, wishing for the downfall of those we perceive as more fortunate. And what about the lies we tell ourselves? We all have our coping mechanisms, those little fabrications we cling to in order to navigate the complexities of life. We convince ourselves that we're happy in a job we despise, that we're satisfied in a relationship that no longer fulfills us, that we're making progress when we're really just treading water. These lies can be comforting, providing a sense of stability in an unpredictable world, but they also keep us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. The dark secret here is that we often choose the illusion of comfort over the discomfort of truth. We'd rather live in denial than confront the reality of our lives, and in doing so, we sacrifice our potential for growth and change. Then there's the issue of moral disengagement. It's a psychological mechanism that allows us to distance ourselves from the consequences of our actions, to justify behavior that we know is wrong. We see it in the way people rationalize unethical decisions in the workplace, or how individuals can participate in acts of violence while convincing themselves that they're serving a greater good. It's a dark secret that reveals the fragility of our moral compass. When we're faced with a choice between our values and our desires, it's all too easy to find a way to justify the latter. We compartmentalize our actions, creating a chasm between who we are and what we do, allowing us to sleep at night despite the harm we may cause. And let's not overlook the role of fear in shaping our behavior. Fear can be a powerful motivator, driving us to act in ways that are often counterproductive or harmful. We fear rejection, so we hide our true selves. We fear failure, so we avoid taking risks. We fear the unknown, so we cling to the familiar, even when it's detrimental to our well-being. This fear can lead us to make choices that betray our values, to compromise our integrity in order to maintain a facade of safety. The dark secret here is that fear can be paralyzing, keeping us trapped in a cycle of inaction and regret. We may long for change, for growth, but the fear of stepping outside our comfort zones can hold us hostage. And what about the masks we wear? We all have our public personas, the versions of ourselves that we present to the world. We curate our social media profiles, carefully selecting the images and words that project an idealized version of our lives. But behind those carefully crafted facades lies a different story, one filled with insecurities, doubts, and struggles. We hide our vulnerabilities, fearing judgment or rejection, and in doing so, we perpetuate a culture of isolation. The dark secret here is that we're all struggling in our own ways, yet we continue to pretend that we have it all together. It's a cycle of disconnection, where we fail to recognize our shared humanity, trapped in a world of superficiality and pretense. And let's talk about the impact of technology on our behavior. In this digital age, we've become increasingly disconnected from one another, yet paradoxically, more connected than ever. We communicate through screens, often sacrificing genuine human interaction for the convenience of a text or a tweet. This disconnection can lead to a sense of loneliness, even in a crowd. We scroll through curated feeds, comparing our lives to the highlight reels of others, and in doing so, we cultivate feelings of inadequacy and despair. The dark secret here is that technology, while offering the illusion of connection, can deepen our sense of isolation. We may have thousands of friends online, but when it comes to meaningful relationships, we often find ourselves feeling more alone than ever. And let's not forget about the role of privilege in shaping our behavior. We often fail to recognize the advantages we have, whether it's due to our race, gender, socioeconomic status, or education. This privilege can create a sense of entitlement, leading us to believe that our experiences are universal, that our struggles are the norm. We may not intend to be dismissive, but when we fail to acknowledge the systemic inequalities that exist, we perpetuate a cycle of ignorance and apathy. The dark secret here is that privilege can blind us to the realities of others, leading us to become complacent in the face of injustice. We may want to be allies, but without a willingness to confront our own biases, we risk becoming part of the problem. And finally, let's consider the concept of forgiveness. It's a powerful act, one that can free us from the burdens of resentment and anger. Yet, it's also one of the most challenging things we can do. We hold on to grudges, convinced that they give us power, that they protect us from being hurt again. But in reality, they only serve to imprison us, keeping us tethered to the past. The dark secret here is that forgiveness is not just about the other person. It's about our own healing. We may think we're punishing those who have wronged us, but in truth, we're only punishing ourselves. It's a cycle of pain that can be broken, but it requires vulnerability and courage. So here we are, confronted with the dark secrets of human behavior. It's a tangled web of instincts, fears, and desires that shape our actions in ways we often fail to recognize. We may want to believe that we are noble, altruistic beings, but the truth is far more complex. We are flawed, imperfect creatures, capable of both great kindness and profound cruelty. It's a reality that can be uncomfortable to face, but it's also an opportunity for growth and understanding. By acknowledging these dark secrets, we can begin to unravel the complexities of our behavior, to confront the shadows that lurk within us, and ultimately to strive for a more authentic, compassionate existence. It's a journey that requires courage, introspection, and a willingness to embrace the messiness of being human. And perhaps in doing so, we can find a way to illuminate the darkness, to transform our understanding of ourselves and each other, and to create a world that reflects the best of our humanity.